The Witcher, released in 2007, enhanced in 2008, isn't mature because of its engorged breasts and frequent swears. It's mature because it's impenetrable and drowningly deep. It's as mesmerizing and compelling as it is draining. While its interface mechanics, combat and endless backtracking make some effort to kick you out of the experience, the setting and environments invariably begin to drag you back in. And given enough time, the rich, dark story of people, politics and moral relativity will likely keep a hold of you. You'll occasionally suffer a kick to the groin when navigating quest lists, grinding foes, running your dozenth marathon of Vizima, or managing antiquated inventory systems. Why does a ring take the same space as 10 bottles of vodka? But you'll find yourself bravely bearing these kicks to immersion because there's a lot on offer in The Witcher. The story of Geralt of Rivia, its quests and settings, were organically grown in the creative fields of Polish fantasy fiction, 5 novels and several short stories by Andrzej Sapkowski during the 1990s. And from its tree, fruit were born in the shape of a film, a television series, a graphic novel series, and a game, soon to be 2 games, hurrah! The Witcher is arranged into 5 acts bookended by a prologue and epilogue, each taking place within separate, varied, fairly big and very busy backdrops. Town, swamp, city, castle, etc, etc. The web-like network of multi-layered, interlinked and isolated quests mean that without trying very hard, you can find yourself with a list of 17 things to do at any one time. Added to the abundance of story-related quests are your standard filler missions of fetch, insert random number of random ingredient here, and kill, insert random number of random beast here. Due to the mess of missions, even if you are proficient in management and logistics, you will find yourself backtracking around each of these maps
forever and ever and ever.
This excessive amount of retreading could have been a horrible problem, except that, as well as the story quests being varied and motivating, the game is choking in atmosphere. The rigorous foundations of the story and setting, and the artistic and creative strengths demonstrated by CD Projekt have filtered naturally throughout the appearance of the game. Settlements are filled with loving, delicate details, the likes of which aren't present in Oblivion from a year earlier, or even in the Gothic series or Risen, games that have always praised for having robust, cohesive settings. The Witcher offers a higher standard of world building. Drunkards piss in the streets, domestic and wild animals abound, beggars actually beg instead of standing around, sporadically shifting personalities from grizzled pauper to posh royal. Buildings aren't noticeably copy-pasted, children play Tig and hopscotch in the streets, civilians seek cover from the rain and then spout comments laughing at neighbours' wet laundry or celebrating the onset of muddiness. Passing comments in general feel genuine and spontaneous as opposed to the repeated, uncanny valley conversations all the rage in Cyrodiil. Do you remember taverns in Oblivion, where occasionally you might see 3 people, and on an exciting day one might be sitting and eating? In The Witcher, taverns are bustling with gamblers, fistfighters, drunkards, waitresses, musicians and randomers. The musical score is fitting, the animations are convincing and varied, and oh my, I feel like I'm actually in Vizima. What a damn finely executed medieval setting. The settlements are thriving, and have carved memories into my mind alongside real locations I remember with fondness. It's a pity I'm forced to stare at Geralt's ample ass during my many jogs around Vizima. I'm far more comfortable in a free-form RPG environment during which I can invent my own character, usually a princess, and wander whichever direction has the most inviting view. A more hardcore RPG like The Witcher will ask the player to control a distinct character and inflicts degrees of visual and control separation between the protagonist and the player. In The Witcher, we are forced into a third-person view in order to study the swagger of Geralt's behind as we run across Vizima locales for the nth time. Third person makes perfect sense during combat, but only because the combat mechanics demonstrate another degree of separation. We don't control Geralt's sword swings, we only instruct his tactics and click when cued to issue another attack order. We choose Geralt's movements, actions and words, but only from a selection of things that he might do or say, and freedom, or the opportunity to perform actions perceived as outwith Geralt's prescribed character, is curtailed by limiting when you can draw weapons, use spells, there's no jump or climb function, all his dialogue is voiced, and doesn't provide the nice, funny, nasty spectrum of responses, although for a game with technically tight reins it does a far better job of making your actions matter more than most RPGs. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this. What I'm saying is that I will always feel separate from Geralt, despite his identity being offered as a pseudo-blank slate by his amnesia. I don't know, I'm just not him, perhaps it's because he's so suave with women. I'll get used to it, and I'm interested enough in Geralt and his world to see the game through, possibly twice. I haven't actually finished it yet. So Geralt spends much of the 60 to 80 hours of gameplay running, talking and fighting. Running is time consuming but is rendered tolerable by the environments, dialogue is good, the literary roots are evident here, combat is, you know what, I don't mind the combat, although I wish the game would stop forcibly sheathing my sword, I can do that, thanks. It's old school role-playing combat which depends on the statistics and skills of Geralt rather than the player's proficiency with a keyboard and mouse. All you have to do is click, and click again. I'm rather relieved not to be controlling Geralt's sword, because he twiddles it around like a samurai, and the better your skills in sword fighting, the more spectacularly he twiddles. Character development is a touch complex. There are 16 separate skill trees in groups of 4, attributes magic, steel, silver, each with 5 ranks, each rank with 2 or more associated improvements, attainable by gaining 3 types of skill points, bronze, silver and gold. There is an overabundance of bronze skill points that allows the player to try all skills before specializing with the rarer silver and gold skill points, awarded after gaining a level, which comes about after gaining experience points by killing foes or completing objectives. Did you catch that? Combined with the interface and travel times, newcomers to this game may find it as bewildering as a hieroglyphic haiku, but stick with it, it's mostly good. This has gone on rather long enough. I don't want to spend the rest of my life googling images. The Witcher is good. It's not a game you can dip into for a half hour at a time, it takes some commitment. I don't know to what extent The Witcher 2 will be streamlined to tidy up the interface and menus and possibly make combat more engaging, but I've scarcely seen a sequel be more complicated than its predecessor. I award The Witcher a 10-day holiday to Tuscany. Excited for Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings.